Hello, today we're looking at the Streamlabs Smart Home Water Monitor. Pretty interesting device. We're going to take it apart and show it to you in action. What this does is it monitors your water main. The great thing about this device is it takes less than 5 minutes to install. Dare I say 1 minute to install? You'll see why. And it works really well. Uses ultrasonic Doppler, and it's very accurate. And we'll look at the specs. We'll open it up, and we'll also see it in action via the app as well. So first thing we'll do is let's take a look on the website, look at a few specs, give you an idea what this is all about. We've got our little helper over here. There she is. Okay, back to the monitor. And right now they're selling for $169. They dropped the price. They were $199. You might be able to get them cheaper, like I did too. You have 24/7 real-time whole house monitoring of your water main, leak detection, home and away leak modes, ambient temperature sensor with a freeze alert, 2-year warranty. Of course, if you take it apart, that voids the warranty. We're going to look at the app in action, but this gives you an idea. If you have a leak, you have both leak alerts in the home mode and leak alerts in the away mode. Away is obviously more sensitive and immediate, but there's not much you have to do. Once you install it, it takes care of itself. You can also set it to kind of learn your habits and alert you based on that. I generally don't deal with those types of things. I just set my own parameters, but it'll do it. I think right now it's only through Alexa. You really don't need voice commands on something like this. The only thing that would be handy for is to say, okay, I'm away and I'm home. You could do it on your phone just as well. It doesn't have monitoring like when you leave your home a certain distance, it automatically arms. But you really don't have to set it in the away mode. I mean, if you're going on vacation, yeah, I would do that. It's just more sensitive to a leak and it'll alert you immediately. But we'll look into that and see how that all works. Let's look at some specs. Okay, here, technical information. The technology makes it so easy to hook this thing up. I mean, it's just great. You don't even have to cut your water line. It's not going to shut your water off. They do have a model that does that. That obviously is in line. But you could see here it works with either 3/4 or 1-inch copper, M&L type of copper, PEX, and CPVC. Strangely enough, I originally had it on regular PVC. In Florida, we don't have to worry about freezes, so it's not uncommon to have just straight PVC coming in on the cold line. But we'll explain why later it's not set up for PVC and the reason for that. It worked fine, but it affected the accuracy because each pipe has a different inner diameter. And the Doppler looks at the velocity of the water, so it has to know which pipe you have. And based on which pipe you have, it will know the inner diameter. And then based on the inner diameter and the velocity of the water through Doppler ultrasonic, it comes up with a very accurate flow rate. So that's the idea of how that works. Yeah, it's a 5-volt power supply. You know, uses a watt, if that. I'm always concerned with devices when you plug them in 24/7 because it adds up. 1 watt typically on a device with, say, 10 cents a kilowatt hour. It's about $1 a year, 24/7. So it's really nothing. But you got to watch devices that pull, 8 and 10 watts, and then you've got multiples of those. But nowadays, those are pretty hard to find. Stuff today is Energy Star, super efficient, like your Wi-Fi bulbs, your Google Home, for example. All the power supplies now are level 6 efficiency, and they use less than 1/4 of a watt when they're unloaded, just plugged in. So super efficient, and this goes along with that. This device is very efficient, less than a watt when you're using it. Okay, let's go look at the unit. So what we have here, kick up a little more light here, is the unit itself. We also have another unit that's already hooked up, but how this installs, it's really a piece of cake. This is your unit. You just simply strap it on the pipe. You got copper, you got CPVC or PEX. You just simply put it on the pipe. The pipe has to be clean. Can't be painted or anything like that. You see these 2 sensors here. Those are your ultrasonic transducers. And you just take, they give you the zip ties, and you put the 2 zip ties right in here and in here, and you just zip tie it to your water main. You're done. That's it. Plug it in, of course. You go through the setup, which is quite simple, by putting in your Wi-Fi password and so forth, one-time setup like you do with any Wi-Fi device, and you're done. That's the great thing about this, and it works very well. Let's pull it apart. I'll show you what the inside looks like. The only thing I could say that could be better about this is it's not set up, this isn't waterproof at all. I wouldn't even call it water resistant. Normally, you wouldn't have to worry about that. But in Florida, Hawaii, places like that, you could put it on your water main outside. And a lot of times, maybe that's the only place to put it, is outside on the water main. You don't have access indoors. That's probably rare, but if you did that, then you have to worry about water intrusion. What I did on my other unit, let's open this up and I'll show you what I did to waterproof it. Of course, it's going to void your warranty as soon as you take the stickers off for these screws, so I don't recommend doing that. However, in my case, the only place to put it was outside on the water main. So if I were to do that and it were to get water intrusion, yeah, I could cover it and maybe cut a bottle and put it over and so forth. But in my case, I would rather void the warranty, waterproof the unit, and then also cover it as a second redundancy, and I don't have to worry about it, because they probably would not cover it if it had water intrusion. They may or may not, I don't know, but something tells me they wouldn't. I mean, it's near water lines, and they can burst and so forth, so the unit can get wet. So I'll show you what I did to make it waterproof. Not even water resistant, but waterproof. There goes some screws. Okay, so what I did was just simply put a bead of silicone. Sealed. It'd be nice if they made this with an O-ring. It really wouldn't cost so much more to waterproof this to the IP, what is it, 54, or one of those water resistant measures. The other thing is these 2 holes. This is your reset button here. I just put a blob of silicone over that. So you can still use the reset button by pushing on the silicone, so that's watertight. And then your adapter, which goes in over here, just simply siliconed it. So when you put it in, it had a nice full silicone barrier all the way around. And then, as I mentioned, made my own gasket, so to speak, out of silicone. Went ahead and siliconed over the screws. This is the thermistor for water, for temperature, and that's pretty well sealed internally, but I went ahead and siliconed over that. That's good for freeze alert, and it made it waterproof. I think there was one other little hole somewhere. I don't remember. No, I don't see any air holes or anything. So that made it pretty well. And then you can take like a half-gallon juice jar, cut it in such a way where it just fits over and really shields the unit from any direct water. Anyway, and that makes it pretty good. So internally, you have these two transducers right here, which go up onto the pipe, and you see they're angled at about a 45. And those are ultrasonic transducers. That's what's reading the flow of the water in the pipe without cutting the pipe in any way. The ultrasonic waves, and this technology has been used industrially for a long time, since the 70s that I was reading about, and they can use it on lines that are several feet, 12-inch line, 36-inch lines, and they can get very accurate water flow. Portable units or permanent units. So you see how that's your transducer there, and then the black wire is the thermistor, which is good for temperature. If you're going to get a freeze or something like that, you'd want to know about that too. Then it plugs into the logic board here. Underneath the logic board is your Wi-Fi board. You can see the antenna is into the PC board. I don't know if you can quite make that out. The traces, that's your antenna. So it's basically two boards inside: your Wi-Fi communications board and your logic board. Pretty compact, pretty basic. So, as I mentioned before, you have to tell it what type of pipe you have. It'll work with a variety: the CPVC, the copper, and the PEX. I really can't think of what else. Well, it doesn't work with galvanized. I guess it's just too thick. So if you have galvanized, now if you do have galvanized, you could just simply, cut out a section and put a section of either copper, CPVC, or PEX in there. You'd only need, you'd put in about a foot, give you a little play, and just put this in line, and then it will read. But let's look at the app here, and we'll show you. By the way, there's a couple of lights on here. You've got a signal light and a power light on it. But the beauty is you can install this thing in just a few minutes, which is great. If you want the ability, or you want it to automatically shut the water off on the water main, it's a much more expensive unit. And then, of course, that has to go in line. That's the only way to do that. I believe it still uses the ultrasonic technology for the water movement. This works down to 0.25 gallons per minute, which is pretty sensitive. It's not going to pick up a drip, but 0.25 gallons is a very, very low rate. It's probably analogous to turning your tap on and having just the teeniest little stream of water come out. If you went any lower than that, then it would begin to drip. So in a full minute, you'd only have a quarter of a gallon, a quart. So it's a pretty reasonably small amount of detection that it'll go down to. And then it'll go way up. I don't know where it tops out, but it's probably a lot more than any flow that you could possibly have. Let's look at the app and see. And then we'll also turn the water on and show you. This is a unit that's working, that's installed already. And we'll go into the settings here. Now you can see it's showing that it is connected, that I have it set up for 3/4 inch CPVC. You can also adjust your alerts. You can set for room temperature alerts. You can enable or disable that. Let me cut out this one light so we're not getting any glare. And bear with me a sec here. Okay. So yeah, your room temperature can be shut off. I have it enabled. The away mode is enabled. And the home mode, leak, I have it set to manual. Now you can set it to a mode where it learns your behaviors and it knows, you know, the maximum amount of water you'd normally use and for how long and so forth. I just have it set. So the slow leak alert is going to notify me when the flow rate is over 0.25 gallons per minute for longer than 30 minutes. I get a push notification. You can also do email, SMS. Actually, I'm going to turn on the SMS because I just realized it didn't have the phone number in there, and I put that in there. Yeah, so generally, we don't, you know, we're not going to use water continuously for 30 minutes. So if you get a slight pause in there, and 0.25 is the most sensitive, if you get a slight pause in there, then it resets again. Even a shower, 30 minutes of constant run, we never trigger that. The only thing that will trigger that is the water softener. When that regens, in my case every 2 weeks, it will kick off the alert, which is fine because I like to know when it regens, you know, in the middle of the night. And you can adjust that. You can adjust the level and the time to what you want. So it's flexible. And that's your manual setting. Major leaks, I have that set when you're at 4 gallons a minute or higher for 2.5 minutes or more. And that works for me. Filling a tub, I've got it set so that at 4 gallons it wouldn't trigger with our flow rates. So that works for me. But you could tweak these out. Or as I mentioned, you could just turn on they call it smart alerts, trademark. And that'll kind of supposedly learn and do it. But in my case, I like the manual adjustments. They work for me. So you've got all of that. Then the away mode obviously is more sensitive. When you set away mode, you shouldn't have any water usage at all. And when you're in the away mode, it'll alert you, it'll push a notification, it'll text you. As a matter of fact, let me turn that on. Or it'll email you immediately to any water movement. So very handy. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is give you a shot of this. Let me go turn. I'm going to go ahead and turn the water on. And be right back in a second here and let you see the kind of flow that it shows. Alright, so I just turned the faucet on, barely on. It's on a small amount. It looks like we're showing 0.6 gallons per minute of water flow. And you can see there's a graph here that shows you, it's a 1 minute graph. So it shows you the amplitude, the amount of water, and the height of the graph. Let's see, our outdoor temperature, which is where the sensor is on the water main, happens to be 73 degrees Fahrenheit. So the water is running. 0.6 gallons a minute. And you can look at your daily usage. It'll give you a scale for when the water was used and how much was used for the day. You could break it down into the month. And then, of course, the year. And it'll give you the cumulative for the year, the month, or the day. Comparative usage. Comparing usage today versus yesterday, weeks versus, you know, the previous year, the last month, all that basic stuff. On the bottom, it stores the alerts. Now I have some slow leak alerts, as I mentioned, for the water softener when that goes off every couple of weeks. 1.5 hours total, 93 gallons. Yeah, it kind of uses a lot when it regens, but it's a smart softener, so it only does it every 2 weeks. Some people that have these water softeners maladjusted, boy, they're using a ton of water. They regen every other day or what have you. They're constantly feeding salt in it. Let's see, more history. We can go away leak. I think I was testing it for an away leak. There it just was 15 seconds at 0.2 gallons. So yeah, when you're in the away mode, it'll alert you of any water flow at all. And that's a push notification or a text. You'll know about it immediately. So very sensitive and does what you want it to do. So I'm not paid, by the way. Any of these items on this channel are just items that I purchased. So I'm not paid by any manufacturers. I'm not given any of these devices free or any of that stuff, because that's going to skew people. You get a free item that's hundreds of dollars, you're going to be skewed. You know, you're going to want to get more items, and you're going to be even slightly skewed for its benefit. So I'm always a little bit leery of those channels that get a lot of free stuff. I've seen some horrible items that just have positive reviews, and it kind of makes you wonder. Okay, back. So yeah, this is your main page. When you open up the app, this is what you get. You get the gallons for the day. And then you have your home and away toggle that you can set. I generally don't worry about the away mode. And again, unless I'm going to be gone for more than a day or something like that, then I'll set it to away. Because I've got it set sensitive enough where if a leak does develop, I'll know about it. Even in the home mode and not in the away mode. So hopefully we've gone through this enough to give you an idea of its capabilities. Super easy to install. That's the beauty of it. And they do make one, as I mentioned, that will go inline and can shut your water off. Quite a bit more money. I want to say they're in the $400 or $500 range for those. This one for a price point of about $170, and I've seen them cheaper. Really is very informative. Will detect leaks for you. It'll help you save money on your water usage because it makes you more aware of what's going on and what's using water. In the future, we're going to look at devices like this for your fuse panel that goes on your main breaker and your individual breakers of your choice, up to 8 of them. Works kind of like this device, but for electricity in kilowatt hours. And cheaper. The teaser is that it's cheaper than this device. So we found one that really is a premier unit that works great, and we have it in action, been using it for about 6 months, and can attest that it's pretty good. It's got some app issues, but that can always be improved. So we're going to look at those types of units, also some specialty LED bulbs coming up, and just kind of neat electronic Internet of Home things. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, and we're a new channel, so we appreciate if you subscribe and hit the bell button. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.